Alright guys, I'm going to show you how I'm going to deal with buttons on my steering wheel to, in this case, activate a scramble button, but it could be activating a two-step, a trans brake, or anything else. Now I did have a typical curlicue wire with a button going through the steering wheel here, and I had it attached to a disconnect underneath the steering column, but it would always get wrapped up around the steering column, and of course it just did not look real nice. Alright, so I talked with a buddy of mine, and he talked about a way that he used the horn circuit, so I looked to see how I wanted to do it, and I liked that idea. So what I came up with was soldering on to the back plate of the horn button, and then I welded a washer onto the side of a washer, and when you tighten the nut up, this will make a circuit so that whenever I close these two wires with a button over here, that'll honk the horn, or in my case I'll use it to activate an input to my ECU to run the scramble button. But this will mean that I'll just have a very clean wire. It'll just be a nice short, 2-3 inch long piece of wire that'll travel around with the steering wheel, and I won't have that curlicue wire hanging all over the wire all the time. So it'll make for a real nice clean installation. I'm going to put this together, and then I will turn the camera back on and show you how it works. Alright, hold on. Okay, this is going to be a little more detail on what I was just talking about on how the wire connections were made. This little notch here is where your horn button actually goes, that passes down through the steering wheel. And what I did was notch the phenolic a little bit, so I had a place where I could solder on to this bottom plate. The bottom plate is what makes contact when the horn is moving. Can you see a little action there? Alright, so what I did then is I took a washer and soldered it onto another washer. The shape really doesn't matter. I just needed a place for the retaining nut to clear, so I just needed something to stick off to the side. Just to have a washer handy was the way to do it. And I soldered that wire. So what will happen is, when it's assembled, I will tighten down the nut and I'll have continuity, and whenever I make these wires up on this, and when I put a push button across these wires here and make that circuit, that will be the same as when this is deflecting, like when you're pushing the horn, and that'll complete the circuit. Okay guys, this is a simplistic wiring diagram of the way this is going to be wired up. Coming from the steering wheel, you're going through your factory horn relay, and again I'm just using an additional button that I showed you how to wire up earlier. And coming out of that horn relay, normally it would be just going straight to the horn, but in this case that wire, we're going to go to a 2-position selector switch, and we're going to take that into the common terminal, and then the normally closed terminal is just going to go to the horn, so that when you push the horn, it goes through the horn relay, through the switch, through the normally closed, turns on the horn, makes the big honk. Now if I flip the switch over to the normally open position, that would come over here then, and it would power a relay. And then the relay is going to have on the contacts, one side of the contacts going to chassis ground, and the other side of the contact going to the ECU, because in this case the ECU needs a ground input to know that I want to use this as my scramble button in this particular feature. But that's the basic wiring on how this is going to be done. Alright guys, so this is what it looks like in the final install. I've got my little button in the steering wheel, and you see there's not a bunch of wires hanging out everywhere. We've just got a little short, let's see if I can get a video here. Just got a little short wire behind it going between it, and so it's just tied into the same circuit, so the horn works like normal, or in horn mode the button can work it. And then I've got a selector switch over here. Let's see here if I can get a decent picture of it. Just a generic selector switch right there. And in the other position, whenever I activate that switch, it just activates a relay to give me an input to my ECU, and that'll be how I run the scramble button. Well, that's all for this install. We'll catch you later.